that I'm keeping in the Marrow board. I'm going to drill into that first. So I'm going to share that really quickly. Okay, so this is the board we have, which is our road to production board, September, October, November across here. We're going to zoom in on September so I can show you what's in. I can find my Zoom. There we go. All right. So right now, this top is discovery. The second section is development. And this third section is UAT. Now, there are some things in development that aren't showing here because they're from discovery over here. So some of these are from August too, but we just moved down customer pre-screening, customer profile, this pre-screening and that pre-screening email invite in 40. You'll see Sprint 40 here. We have active, we've just moved into this training assets because they go straight to build. We got 3 things there that we're looking at right now in the month of September. We also see those October, November, December mapped out. And these are all our discovery items right now that are open. Libby's got quite a few here with eligibility, application document upload, pre-screening. Assessments are coming up. You'll see they're not quite active yet. So those are coming up towards the end of the month. This one here, I believe, is active. And this one's active. These 2 here, entity management relationships edit. That's the thing I showed you last week, and that's in review right now, that requirements document. Outcomes education is also of Taylor's. It's also in review right now, due on 10/3. I don't know if that's correct or not. I have to look at that. I think that's due earlier than that, but this is our discovery board requirements, which is discovery requirements and story writing. This is our development board. And if these it's potentially they span, but we'll be moving those across and down as we go. So I just wanted in development right now, we have all this. We have some training program updates. We got some career services, career plan. And down here, I want to show you UAT. This is your UAT cycles, release 6, cycle 1, which we're going to talk about here briefly. And just to remind everybody, and then this is a referral system, adding sites. This is active also now with a group in UAT. Just to kind of get everybody into that, referral system is initially built off using the service finder, and then we're going to integrate that referral system into IWDS down the road here a little bit. In fact, let me see what that color is. Referral is that blue. Somewhere in here. We are integrating that in, which I don't see, but we do have that here somewhere. Oh, I moved it down, but that needs to be also coming up in the integration. So that's what that picture looks like. Hopefully it's a picture you can understand and see really quickly. Lots going on in discovery as always, and quite a bit going on in build. And we got 2 UAT things, which is going to take me to my next piece, which is looking at ETPL UAT. So I'm going to remember we had this project site. We had this full list of, and then here was your ETPL training plan. I know we had a rough start. I apologize for that because we were loading data. We got into a bind. We thought that'd be ready last Thursday afternoon, then Friday, but it was ready on Monday. We have put that out. Kelly sent an email out, I believe Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, I'm not sure. So we'd still like to hold that first round, that first cycle for release 6 before you get through by a week from tomorrow, which is the 19th. We would like you all to get in there and start messing around with it from a UAT perspective. Now, so in this guide, which I believe I have up here somewhere, there's a link to the UA inside there. There's a link to the notebook. This is the notebook right here. Okay, I'm gonna move it closer so you can see it. And then tell you something I forgot to tell you. Okay. When you come into UAT, and the link to UAT is in there, UAT link looks like this. This is where your UAT is. Hopefully it'll come up in a second. And then inside here is your entity management, and that's where you can get into the entities and the training. There's the entities, and you can get into training programs here, like we were talking about. So when you come into that UAT, if you wouldn't mind, I got a reviewer check-in page. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. I did see your comment here, and I want to look into that because I think I've experienced that also. I believe it was on program of study page. This is the only comment I've gotten so far, and this is the only person so far that's registered in here. And thank you for being attentive to that. I didn't tell you that. Um, but I just want to go over that one comment that was the SIPS search, which is also there's a SIP search in the current IWDS, and the statement here is it's not very good. It's not very usable. I kind of agree with that. I got to go back and look and see what we can do, but we can definitely help you out on that. I did put a comment on that, but I'm not seeing it right there. It is. So I put my comment there to say basically I'll dig deeper into this and I'll come up with see if we can come up with an enhancement for that, because I do agree that when you if you put a word in that search, it doesn't seem to be that great yet. So we can get that better. But I didn't see any other comments yet. Please, please, we want you involved and get into UAT. Just take just take 30 minutes, an hour if that's all you have between there. Log your comments. If maybe you don't have any problems with it, regardless, just check in right here. Just put your whenever you got in and your name. I appreciate it. And that's really any questions? Does anybody have any questions about where this information is, how to get to it? See chat right now, so let me look and see. Yeah, you sent it out Monday. Okay, good. All right. Was that under managed? I was trying to follow our screen, but it looked away. Okay, okay, yes. Thank you. When you get to that environment, management tools, um, I don't know what's going on right now. It's weird. Always, always when you are going to show something,
I know that's always the case, isn't
what is the deal with that? I've been in this 100 times in the
it?
last 10 days, and all of a sudden now.
I was going to say in the last 30
Okay.
minutes, you've probably
All
been
right. So
reaching.
you'll get in, it looks like this. Under here, you probably won't look exactly like this because there'll be a login link. I apologize. I'm already logged in. Um, so I'm going to sign out real quick, and um, I'm going to go back to it just so you see where it should look like for you. Okay. This is the way it'll look. Ignore all this in this page right here. Management tools, entity management, because you're coming from an entity management. Providers are in the entities. You can search for there's several pages here, I think. I guess there's 50 in here. You can search for any of those you want to use, doesn't matter. Or you could actually add a new entity if you wanted to, of your choice. And you can go through that process of adding a new entity. If you don't want to add a new entity, that's fine. You can go in here, hit training programs. You'll see active, you'll see pending, you'll see inactive. This one actually has a test one that's pending. So put anything in there you feel like in this area, and you can start right off and add right there. So hopefully that'll remind everybody kind of where we were. And that link to this UAT is in here, and that in that guide, it'll tell you how to get to this point, right? At the first page or so, when you open up that guide, let me go see if I can open up that guide real quick. This guide right here. If you go to this, and I will show you where that's at. Here, I'm going to stop and reshare.
Yeah, when I open that, it goes straight, it download into a Word thing. It doesn't bring me where it's
Yeah, that's
taking me
right. It's a
to.
Word document, Robert. That document's a Word document. I'm going to show it to you right here. That's your UAT guide. I'll just go ahead and show my desktop here. That guide right there should look like this. That's what it should have downloaded. It tells you all the instructions here. Inside of here, you'll see all the different areas. Inside of here, this should be actually, it should be the 19th. Sorry, I think I must have messed it up. In here, it shows you the link to access the UAT environment right there. Okay, this is on page 3. There's the notebook right there link. And then this guide that tells you what to do. And then right in the first of this guide, it says start a new program, and it talks about creating a new program from this training programs tab on an entity. So that's where that is. Any other questions? Did that clear up that confusion, Robert?
Yes, it did.
Sorry about
Not,
that.
not,
Yeah.
because when I kind of got confused with that first screen when I didn't send, I forgot to go check the management tool.
Yep. Thank you. I'll drop that in there because I noticed I thought I had it in the first page, but I didn't. I'm going to go back and drop that in here this morning. So it shows you. I'll put it right here. Hey, go to the management tools, go to entity management, search for your provider or add a new one. That'll be easier. Sorry about that. All righty, that's all I have. Let me see what's next on the ticket here. Andy, I believe you're up.
Olivia is Olivia doing the pre-screening?
Oh, I'm sorry, Olivia. It looks like she's pre-screening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just will take a few minutes before I pass it over to Andy. I wanted to thank everyone for your guys' thoughtful feedback on the intake process that we discussed last week. And I wanted to spend a few minutes to summarize what we heard and outline some of the key areas that we're going to be working on moving forward for that intake follow-up. So we're going to work on reducing repetition, receive some comments about repetition, especially around time to complete and the usage of the phrase next steps. We'll be updating the intake text to remove that repetitive language and streamline the messaging. We're also going to look at improving the text message clarity. So we're going to look at trying to provide more context in the initial text message while staying within that 160 character limit. The goal is to make the message more informative without overwhelming or confusing the recipient and staying in that 160 characters, which is the hardest part. And then we're going to look at how we can clarify the center naming. There was some feedback about the use of American Job Center in our messaging, since not all centers use that name or have visible signage in your guys's like organization names. We're considering introducing it as American Job Center Network in the first mention, and then possibly referring to it as the local center and future references to keep things clear and inclusive and not try to repetitively use that verbiage where somebody might go and be looking for a sign that says American Job Center when we know that is not necessarily always the case. And then for the acknowledgement and consent notes, that was just kind of some context that we're going to be moving away from the agreement checkboxes at the very first page and moving those to the end of the intake process and rewording them slightly. So before final submission, they're going to see some checkboxes that ask them to agree to various things, that the information they provided is true, that they understand their personal information is private, and have a link to that privacy policy page. And then we did this to change and improve the workflow and have them agree to those things more at the end of the submission of the pre-screen instead of right up front. And then we also had one about them understanding WIOA services are free if they qualify, and that they're going to inform us if their situations change. We will look at actually moving that one though to the application, because a great point was made that we don't really talk about WIOA in pre-screening. That comes more at the application, and when we get into orientation about tying that in at pre-screening, we're keeping things very high level and customer centered and not focused so much on some of our jargon. So seeing that term WIOA at the very end might be confusing, and we're not even at the point yet of service. That comes more with the application. So that feedback was great, and we'll look at realigning that more with application. And we appreciate everybody's input and comments on walking through that informational text for the emails and the first page of the pre-screening, and just wanted to make sure to summarize those with everybody. And we're going to move forward with getting those implemented so that those are visible when we start the pre-screen UAT. It's in sprint this sprint, and we've already identified some cleanup work we'll need to do next sprint to just, put the bow on it, get it cleaned up after we've walk through all the pages and the routing and make sure everything's working right. But it is coming along nicely, and will hopefully be in your guys' hands sooner rather than later. With that, I will go ahead and open it up for any questions you guys have before I turn it back over to Andy. Perfect. I see your comment, Rory. Yeah, that was we got some notes on that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that I agree. It's tricky to find it because there's when any of the people that are marketing people on the call, perhaps, or I should have checked with our marketing person. But I know that, like, with the branding and stuff, that it has like the Illinois WorkNet branding that we've had, for years. There's a thing that says it has to say something like a proud member of the American Job Center Network or something like that. And then like on a lot of our materials, brochures, pamphlets, marketing materials, informational literature, I think there's a tagline that we usually always have to include. And I think it might even have a DOL logo, but a DOL uniform about, like auxiliary aids can be provided, it's a non-discriminatory, there's that thing. And I can't remember if they use the term American Job Center in that language. So, but we didn't know if like Illinois WorkNet Center is used more consistently or commonly with a lot of the job center affiliates and all the LWIAs, so that is kind of tricky. I think we refer them mostly as like Illinois WorkNet centers because of the when we reference for career exploration and labor market information research and stuff, and the WIOA provider search tool, when we give those resources to our job seekers and people applying for WIOA assistance, it's usually the Illinois WorkNet site. So that's kind of, it's kind of a toss up, but I think a little more often than not, we use the Illinois WorkNet branding. But yeah, I don't know if the state folks would have a preference on that, but just letting you know, like, we forgot to put that, to email you that comment, but that was, we were kind of thinking the same thing.
Perfect. And we will include in the document we're going to update the footer of the pre-screen to include that the Illinois WorkNet Center and American Job Center is an equal opportunity program. Auxiliary aids and services are available upon request to individuals. Then the phone numbers, like all that, will also be embedded in the pre-screening. So they're going to get that information through the online process as well, as we know it has to be in the footer of a lot of things.
Oh, great. So you guys will include that. We don't have to remember to go back and paste that in there. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Any other questions or comments before I turn that over to Andy? All right. All yours, Andy.
I can get myself off mute. There we go. All right. Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate it. Let me get my screen shared here. So we want to get some mock-ups in front of you. So this is going to be kind of a way for users to get help anywhere along the way from the time they come on to look for help getting a job, all the way through any part of the pre-screening and things like that. So let me go and get my screen shared here. There we go. Okay. So when they come into the welcome page, or like I said, any other content page, along the way as they're going through, there's going to be a little widget at the bottom of the screen for them that they can click at any point that just says need help, and they click that, and a modal window will pop up to them. If they haven't gotten to the point of entering information in, the box will be blank. Otherwise, it'll be pre-populated with the zip code that they've entered. Once they've entered that zip code, they can click continue, and they'll be taken to a results page, which shows all of their all the locations closest to them that they can contact for help. Depending on, sorry, give me a second. Depending on when or how far along they've gotten, this may be a little more filtered down. If there's no information that's been entered, then we'll start with just more of the comprehensive offices to display, and then they would be able to filter more specific to their need at the top by clicking one of the categories. And that would filter down these results. Otherwise, if they've entered information, we already know that they are, youth. That's what we're going to display here. So the mapping pop up with the closest results, and then to the left, it will show a little more detailed information. From there, they can, call, text, go to the website. They can also request appointment, which I'll get back to that. If they click on one of the buttons on the map themselves, it'll also provide a little more information. The get directions will allow them to click that, and it will display location in Google Maps, which they can then find the easiest way to get there, whether it's by car, public transit, walking, what have you. If they select this request appointment, it will pop up another modal window. Again, if they filled out information, this will pre-populate. Otherwise, they'll need to populate these 3 fields. They can click continue, and when they do that, it is going to create a request to that office for them to contact the user. And if they already have a user account within IWDS, it will be able to track that way as a referral. Any questions, comments?
Sorry, at which point is this when they do after they finish a pre-screening thing, or this is when if they just go to the Illinois WorkNet site, where would the job seeker or the customer arrive at this screen? Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So it's anywhere along the way. It could be as soon as they come to that welcome page, the very first page, or it could be anywhere along the way as they're filling that out. They decide, well, I need a little more help. So they can click that button at any point. It will be, that widget will be on all the pages.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't know if we had to specifically, like direct them to a link or something, but looks like it'll be there. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what this first one is this little button it'll display on all the pages for them.
Al, excuse me. So is that part of the pre-screening invitation notification that when our customers look at it and they click on certain part of that notification and go to that site?
I'm sorry, one more time on that.
That pre-screening invitation notification and pre-screening page 1 introduction page. Um, it's like a 4-page screening thing that I see. I see different things you could click on. And my question is this letter or message will be someplace in welcome page / other page content where clients could click on it and take them to these different sites, unless this is a different part of the notification for clients. I might be wrong.
Or it sounds like the need help modal will be on all those screens, right?
Yeah, it's going to be all the way throughout their entire pre-screen.
Okay, because it's a 4-page thing here that okay.
Anything else? Okay. Make sure. Okay. I'm not sure. I think, was there something else on the agenda today?
Well, that's it. Did you say, Andy, if I remember right, are these, what's the sort order of these?
So the sort order will be closest to the address if the address is entered, or closest to the zip code if the zip code's entered.
Right.
Um,
And zip
and
codes
then
are the center of the zip code usually, right? Is something like that?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like I said, they can filter in it by clicking
Yep.
a category at the top and
Yep.
get more detailed offices if they need.
Yep. Very good. All right. Thanks.
I do have another agenda item.
Good.
So the next thing I had for you all, let me share my screen here. Sorry, I gotta get my screens all. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about some upload stuff and look to collect feedback if needed. We can send out a survey afterwards too. So an overview of how uploads are going to change a little bit in IWDS 2.0. I'm sure some of you are kind of aware. We've talked about this before, but we will be moving to have documentation uploaded into the system. And as part of that, we're going to embed upload processes within tools designed to collect documentation, such as the application, or if you're entering a credential or a measurable skills gain or various things like that. As part of documenting that MSG or completing the application, documentation will be uploaded within the process of using the tool. A centralized document view within each of the customer profiles will be created so that we can easily have a way to view all files uploaded for that customer, even though they might be uploaded in various areas of the tool. And as part of that central upload listing, it will also be a space for uploading one-off documents that don't fit into the specific workflow, like disconnected from it being an eligibility documentation or a credential or employment verification. We want to allow for you guys to have a button there to upload other documents. And we want to hear from you about the types of documents you would typically upload from a customer that are disconnected from application eligibility documentation, employment verification, measurable skills gain, credentials, and enrollment. We'll already have processes baked in for those being uploaded and tagged appropriately. So whenever documents are uploaded into the system, we tag it with various subjects in different ways. So when a document's uploaded through a tool designed to collect specific documentation, the system will auto tag them based on the data selected during that process. So for example, say you are uploading eligibility documentation for date of birth, so they're over 18. So you're verifying that. We'll be able to tag it with, it's an application documentation. It is specific to the date of birth, and then you'll also pick a source document when you upload it. So we'll know that this is application documentation for date of birth and you're using the birth certificate. It'll maintain all those tags. So if you use that same document and you're also using it to prove something else, maybe you can use it for multiple things, it would get that second tag of being a source document with a birth certificate for date of birth and the secondary eligibility item you used. So we're going to have metadata tied to all of this. The system will simply tag it that way because it's going to be looking at various aspects of what is surrounding that document upload to tag it. And then when you go and look at the full list, it'll be able to tell you all of that. When you upload a document through the full listing, so you're not uploading it through the tool, we'll have a button to like add documentation for you to add. We know there's other documentation you guys might need to upload as a one-off. The system won't be able to auto tag it because it is disconnected from a tool where we have that auto tagging take place. So we want to build a user-friendly list of common one-off document uploads that you're using. We really don't want to build something that's 100 items long and very difficult to like have to scroll through. We want it to be user friendly as like these are the most common documents that we would upload as a one-off with an other option. We know that we can't capture everything without building some ridiculously long list because we know that there are very unique situations that somebody might only have once a year, once every 2 years where you need to upload something. So our question to you all is to, what are common documentation? And I see people already know where I'm going. What are common documents that you would upload after the fact of doing like the application or through like adding a credential, these steps that I've shown before, so that we can either one, embed a process into the tool to do it, or make sure it's included in a list for the other document upload. I want to give folks a couple of minutes here to type in the chat what are some common documents that you guys use. From this, we can put together a survey to collect more quantitative data on that and collect any other items from any other staff member you think might have a good idea about what could be used. But this will give us a starting point to put together a survey that we can send out to better understand a list that we can put together for when one-off documentation is uploaded. So I'm going to pause and open it up for questions. And if folks already know, please put in the chat that documentation.
So the bulleted points you have here, those are the categories that are already available for tag. Like, so you're saying any things that would be like kind of outside those, those 5 most common categories of documentations that would be tagged under those.
Yep. So we'll have spaces in these tools where you're doing the application or adding employment, where you're adding documentation at that time or can attach it to that. So we wouldn't want it in our one-off list. That should be done as part of like the process.
Okay.
So these would be things that like something that kind of came up when we were talking is like any kind of medical documentation you might need to upload to support like case notes or reasons and delays for things.
Okay, sure.
Let me make sure I'm clear here. With this upload here, correct me if I'm wrong, and now I'm gonna have to really double check. In the current IWDS system, we are not uploading anything. The only time, to the best of my knowledge, we uploading stuff is when we're doing the data validation, or they come in to do monitor, they tell us to upload it.
That's correct.
So are you saying moving forward, will we be able to upload these documents and don't keep the paper document anymore? Is that what we're going to? I just want to make sure I'm
Yes.
clear. Okay, Thank
We're
you.
moving to more of a digital documentation of having it in the system. I can't say for sure. The state's still working on policy of if you will also need to maintain any kind of paper documentation or if the system can handle all of that. But we will have clear policy in place for how documentation expectations will be implemented with the implementation of 2.0.
Okay,
But
then, yeah. Okay, good.
definitely in the system will be required for 2.0.
I think my biggest concern about this, I mean, other than obviously the security concern, because the documentation is, well, anyway, IWDS now is a standalone system. It has its own issues, obviously, we all know that, but it's encapsulated its own thing. We're talking about putting IWDS 2.0 embedded in workNet.
No, IWDS 2.0 will actually not be in Illinois WorkNet. It is being built within the Do It environment, and WorkNet is not going to even maintain the documentation handling of IWDS systems. That will be maintained by DocuWare through Do It. It will be connected. It will seem seamless, so you guys won't know any of that by engaging with the system. But all of this will be maintained in a Do It environment. We might have like a link to it from Illinois WorkNet, but you will leave Illinois WorkNet and go into a Do It environment through a single sign-on that we're connecting with all of the state and WorkNet systems.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that, Crystal. Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing if it was going to be within Illinois WorkNet. So it'll be interfaced with things and linked to things in Illinois WorkNet. But
yeah, we're creating APIs from WorkNet that will connect with the IWDS environment because it is not WorkNet. So we can't just get things readily available from WorkNet. We have to create an API that sends that data from WorkNet over to the Do It environment that's holding IWDS 2.0.
Oh, no, thanks for clarifying that. And thanks for asking, Crystal, because
Yeah.
I was kind of under the same assumption. Just because it sounds like, career plans, or if the customer does any of self-assessments, career exploration things in Illinois WorkNet, it sounds the way we've been talking about, how we'll be able to access those things and could be in the customer's file and all that I just assumed like, because it must be in Illinois WorkNet because it would get those from Illinois WorkNet. But what you're saying makes sense. I just I was under the wrong assumption as well. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, I think it was like that was the way it was presented in the very beginning, because that's why I was asking, because I don't think anybody had specifically clarified that this was how it's going to work. So then the second part of my question about the documentation is, we were just talking about orientation processes and pre-screening for people. So as we all know, the ordinary person can't get into IWDS now, but we're talking about people actually being able to engage with the system. So are they actually engaging through WorkNet and then getting in?
No.
Or
we're going to have a token passed to them and they'll access it through the IWDS system, unlogged in through a secure token tied to their email. So they can't get into it unless they can get into their email. And they'll be in the IWDS system to complete the pre-screening in the application. Now we are looking at possibly building assessments that they could do through their WorkNet account. We're going to whenever a customer record is created for a customer, we automatically create them a Illinois WorkNet account or sync to their existing WorkNet account if they have one. The customer, when they complete the pre-screening or the application, they will do that in IWDS. And in other instances, we might direct them to you could after the fact at the end page, they might get emails that say, hey, while you're waiting for your appointment, you could complete this assessment or you create an interest profiler, and it would link them to WorkNet tools and resources that they could do. And we'll create APIs that would then pass those like the assessment or the Their resumes, like if they do resumes in workNet, stuff like that will pass through to IWDS 2.0 and into their profile through an API. So the customer will hit both environments, but they won't really know because they're going to be guided by next step prompts and links that will like direct them to what they need to do next.
Okay, so then the second part of that question is with documentation. So we're uploading documents and so forth. We do have individuals who come back to us later and say, hey, did you have the copy of my name change form, or you have the copy of my birth certificate. Can I have a copy of that now, or whatever, because we've got it in their paper file.
Mhm.
So for the documentation that we are uploading on behalf of the client, is the client going to have access to their own documentation or not?
Probably not. Because the way the customer, so through pre-screening, I have to talk about that. It's not a definitive answer. I have to think it through. WorkNet will not ever touch documentation. We want to keep that in the secure do it environment, DocuWare space. Customers can upload their documentation, but the way they're going to be able to access things. So as we get into career plan, we haven't gotten into this yet. This discovery starting soon is we're going to have like customer facing applications, or I'm sorry, career plans, where they can see their career plans and sign their career plans. And those will all be through WorkNet. And we don't want to create an API to pass secure document back to WorkNet for them to access. So I will have to talk to the team about if there's another secure way that a customer could access documentation without being logged into IWDS. And just initially, I feel like that's starting to open up security concerns to open up any kind of documentation, which we're working really hard to keep secure.
Right. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying we do have people who come back to us who ask for copies of stuff we have in our paper files. So if we're not keeping any paper files anymore,
You guys will have access to the digital documents to download and print as you need. So you could
Okay.
always still provide them a printout of whatever was uploaded.
Okay.
If they need it. And customers will also, through the pre-screening or through the application process, they will also have a space where they can securely upload into the secure DocuWare on behalf of themselves for that application. But it's kind of a one-way. And then career planners validate that because, we don't know for sure that they uploaded the right thing. IWDS 2.0 will support totally virtual intake. I mentioned before, I don't know that the state has a final policy on if any physical files will still need to be maintained in addition to the virtual. If the system has a glitch or goes down, or like your office loses power or something, we will have paper applications, like applications that can be print and provided could be completed. The pre-screening and applications we're working on, we know that things can happen. So we will also have a way to have the ability to print necessary pre-screenings and applications and assessments so that those can be completed in paper and re-input into the system when it becomes available. At that time, physical documentation would have to be collected so that it could be scanned into the system when we're able to do so. But we have had conversations around this because we know in various LWIAs that things have happened in the past that has made this become a need. And that's where in some spaces we're saying like certification date, we don't just want to automate by the system. We might like input the current date, but allow you to change it because we might know that maybe something happened and you couldn't access the system for 5 days. So you certified a handful of people and then they started receiving services. we want you to be able to manually input that certification date so that you can show the correct date services were actually started, instead of the system auto defaulting it, and now you can't have anything before when you were able to get back in the system. I do see a handful of items in the chat. Al posted in the documents type document that we had gotten from IWDS. And this is exactly what we don't want to have. And we know it's long because you can also upload all the kinds of documentation we said we were like going to automate, like all these things are in here. So it's a very long form. But we want to look at like, what are some of the things in here? And I'm going to slowly scroll through. And if you guys see something, if you can type it into the chat of something like, oh, this would be something we would want outside of, application, employment, MSG, credential, or enrollment into training, that would be helpful. So I'm going to give you guys a second to read through these, and then I'll scroll down a little bit.
I think that one you first threw out was down towards the bottom. It was a physician something. I can't remember what you said. Just to let you know.
Oh, like a medical note to justify a leave or accommodation or something.
Yeah, these should be in alphabetical order by the name of the category or whatever. And there's dupes in here, really, if you look at this in some ways, like they're just stated a different way, so to speak. But sorry about the double quotes at the end of the thing. I pulled it in from somewhere.
Library card, is there a need for that? I'm not necessarily seeing that tied to some of the other things. So physician statement, is that something? Disability documentation, yes to physician statement. I'm gonna just put that in the chat so I have it listed. Okay, DOT physical results.
Oh yeah, for CDL, we also get some areas will let them enroll at the CDL training provider and do their permit instruction there. Some LWIAs, like us, we're one of them that requires that they get the permit first. But those I would imagine would be tagged under the training enrollment category. So those would already maybe have a category to be uploaded in.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to speak for everybody. I'm just guessing. Similar to like the fingerprinting, background check for certain healthcare training occupations, for example, those things, I don't know if those would go in as one-offs or would those go in maybe as under the training enrollment category. But again, I guess it just kind of depends on how other areas have been doing it thus far.
Okay, and like I said, some of this will flag because it might open discussion on like, do we need a space in training and enrollment to collect some of this stuff as part of that service, or would we direct that to be a one-off? So some of the stuff we might not have an answer for how we're doing it yet, but we're still having conversations, like Laura said. It might be something that's done around the training assessment. When we know you're going into training, we're looking for this documentation. And some of it might be optional because we know all trainings might not need it, but if they do need it, that would be where we uploaded it. And then I know somebody put selective service for when they turn 18 after application. So that was a good call out. Anybody seeing anything here?
Can I ask what SDA state registration process is referring to? I mean, I know SDA is old from JTPA days, but what is this document supposed to be? No idea. Okay.
And I think this in IWDS, this list has just been built upon. I don't know that things have necessarily been removed, so it might be something fairly old. Any kind of telephone verification. Oh, this list keeps going. I thought we were getting to the end. A lot of these, I know a lot of these are, I can see here that they're eligibility items for youth. Which we are getting, so I'm gonna dwell on these too much. And you guys are welcome to download this list. We can provide it too as a resource when we send out a survey to collect some of this, and we'll look at our chat too to see if we can find some items to include to have you guys rate on, and then have another option for folks to identify other things. I won't make you guys, this is a lot here. We don't necessarily need to go through all of this. But definitely wanted to give you guys time. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to think about it and put something into the chat before we wrap up for the day.
Olivia, can I piggyback off of this conversation?
Yeah.
So this was actually brought up yesterday while I was working with the state about uploading source documentation for services. So I've already seen some good flags in the chat about that, about needing to upload like your OJT and your WEX information, and then also having upload capabilities for support services. So I've got all three of those flagged. But are there any other services that you all can think of that you might need the capability to upload documents on?
I think I either saw on the list or in the chat. Support services. That's a good one to that's a good reminder, Taylor. I had mentioned the thing about, like, sometimes if it's a for a job search interview or job fairs, sometimes if people are still enrolled in training or in case management, we can sometimes provide gas cards or for attending certain events. So sometimes we have like one-off documentation of those things, or like some areas do childcare vouchers, or sometimes receipts for certain materials that the provider can't include in the ITA costs. But again, those might be, I suppose those could be under training, the category of like training, enrollment, those types of documents. I'm just thinking of things, books, materials, supplies, uniforms, like things that like, but I actually think I saw in this Excel sheet, because and thank you, Al, for putting it in the chat. I downloaded a copy from it so I can go through too. But I think like sales receipts, I think receipts is already in there. So those would be the only other things I can kind of think of.
Perfect. Yeah, that's kind of where we were kind of going with that as well. But I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything, like I said, another one-off, like maybe on a career service or something that you're like, oh, I need to be able to upload for that. But we've got the support services flagged, your WEX and your OJTs, and then we can also include that on your other training services as well for those one-offs. That was the only question I had. It just fit in nicely with this topic.
And I was scrolling up and looking at chats while you were going through that, and I saw a chat, Rory, you brought up that, or was it? Oh, I scrolled past it. Hold on. Yeah, Rory, you brought up as we were talking about physical files versus digital files, do we also need to have a discussion around digital versus wet ink for signatures? So, and you said we might have already talked about this. We do have a way for career plans where we can sign a career plan either digitally or wet signature. For both the customer and the career planner, and that is facilitated by a career planner initiating a digital signature from a customer, and it would pass through to their workNet account where they log in and check a box. And by being logged in, they're using their unique set of credentials and signing it, and it passes back through to IWDS through the API to say that their signature or their career plan is now signed. That is supported for both the initial career plan and for the modification of a career plan when that's triggered. A career planner can also sign it in the system by checking a box and saying that they're digitally signing. We have some questions for legal around, can we also do that same thing for application? And how do we facilitate that for youth who need an adult to sign when that adult doesn't have a workNet account? And we don't want to force them to get a workNet account just to have them sign a youth's career plan. We have some ideas, but we're running that through legal for the options for also doing that for application.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I knew. Sorry, because I thought, I was like, yeah, I think it was discussed, but in another capacity, like in another context, maybe a few months ago or something. So I just sorry, I couldn't remember. And we started actually right before, and then especially during COVID, when we had to. But I think there's a subscription. So again, I don't know if all offices would have to get their own in-house subscription to something like Right Signature, Citrix, Adobe, DocuSign, but we use Right Signature, and we've been doing digital signatures for the ITA vouchers, for the eligibility documents when people can't come in person. So I didn't know if this system-wide, if there was something like that would could link or embed with like Right Signature, like I think that's still a Citrix product, but Right Signature or DocuSign or something like its own version of that. But again, sorry, that's probably an ongoing discussion you guys are having, another thing for another day.
Yeah, and Crystal, I see your comment. Is the other category that we are talking about for the documents going to have a feature where the staff person can link the document to certain criteria? July 1, no, we'd have to do it through the tool to like link it to that other criteria. That is something we can explore of mapping the other way. That will take quite a bit of effort though to map it from other to more detailed areas of the tool. For now, other would be like if we gave a list of like, okay, here's eight options. We usually use a one-off. And in this super unique situation, this customer, you're uploading this document that isn't in our existing one-off list. You would pick other and then just type in what it was. That will also give us a way when people type in other, we can create a report on that and see like, oh, everybody is uploading document ABC as an other option. Maybe we should put that in our one-off list. Any other questions or comments? I really appreciate folks putting stuff into the chat. This will help with our survey. And just FYI, in our survey, we might not have some of the items you put in the chat because I could see things like obituary and incarceration that we're going to have a space and exit. So those are our exclusionary exit reasons, right? So if somebody passes away or is incarcerated or there's a handful of them. So we're going to have a way that you can exit a customer because of an exclusionary reason. The systems, we're working on having the system auto generate exits for regular exits. But we might say like, okay, if you're using this exclusionary exit, like you said, they passed away, as part of that process, we're going to require documentation is uploaded, and you would upload the acceptable documentation there, like the obituary, or if they were incarcerated, the police records or whatever it is. So I want to take these back to the team and have conversations around what of these can we embed in other areas of the tool. And like resumes, we might have a space specifically for a resume. So instead of uploading it in uploads, you would upload it in the resume section. So don't feel like we're not taking your consideration into account when you see the survey, because we may have found a better, more streamlined way to include it. So it's tied to specific actions instead of a standalone document, not necessarily tied to something else. With that, does any of the other team have anything to cover before we close out for the day? All right, well, thank you all so much for your time. Make sure you're hitting that UAT, and you will be seeing a survey from us in the near future. Like I said, I do want to talk this through a little bit, so we're not going to have it turned around super quickly, because I want to make sure we're really getting what we need from you all and thinking that through. But we will have a survey come out about these one-off documents, and we'll include some resources with it, like this PowerPoint, just for you to be able to refer back to. And Al's full listing of documents is kind of a jumping point for you guys to start from. Thank you all so much for your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
And
Thanks,
you
Lynn.
do the same too. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.